Hi, Peter. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Congratulations on the show. You broke my brain in the best way possible. I really mean that as a
I'm
compliment.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I'm French. I'm in France right now, and the show is number one on Apple TV. So,
Cool.
congratulations on that.
Good. So it
Yeah,
should be.
yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I agree. And honestly, I don't see why it wouldn't, because I feel like Friends really embraced the kind of like really dark, mysterious sci-fi that like redefines the genre and plays like mystery. I mean, we embraced Blade Runner when it first came out and it was being destroyed overseas. So I feel like obviously we're going to embrace Constellation. I've got so many theories, not that many questions, but just like theories that I'm hoping you might want to answer. Um, but at some point, Alice says in episode 6, I think, she says, if you die in space, do you die on Earth? And I mean, that's such a clever way to, I mean, it's so simple, but it's such a clever way of seeing this show. So I feel like, why would your soul not die the same way that it would die on Earth? Is it a sense that was there from the moment you started working on this show?
No, I'm not clever enough to plan all these things out in advance. It was a long process of working out how it all worked and how these weird things could happen. But we did eventually I kind of came came to a set of rules
Mm,
and like an understanding of what had happened, how this effect had been caused, the kind of scientific principles behind it, and what was actually going on, and that kind of does that, like, that informs the series, and everyone who's
mm,
making kind of knows what those rules are, and as the story develops, uh, even whether we get other series or not. I think even at the end of season one, you've started to kind of slightly maybe get a handle on what's happening, even if it's not all 100% clear. But yeah, there are kind of there are rules, and a lot of it has to do with what going into space, what that can do to a person's
mm,
consciousness or
mhm.
soul.
Because I mean, going to space does so many things to your body, the gravity, and then you lose muscles, and then you have to relearn how to do all these things when you come back to Earth. So I feel like, why not ask the question, what does it do to your consciousness and to your soul? And I think the show proves that beautifully.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does, even in reality, and this is one of the things that I found very interesting when I was writing it, that it does have huge effects on people.
Mhm.
Understandably, it has life-changing effects on the people who go up there, and some people really struggle to cope with. They have their mind blown when they've gone up there, and it can be really difficult psychologically to get back to Earth, and not all astronauts kind of achieve that journey perfectly. So even if we're not transporting anybody to another reality or anything, it certainly does have its effect on you. And I think it's very interesting going forward, where many people are thinking that humanity has this existence off world, on Mars or whatever. Um, is that even going to be possible? We're not just physical entities, we're mental and emotional and spiritual beings
Mm.
as well. And do we get to survive that, without being fundamentally changed? I think it's a really interesting question that probably we're going to have to answer, because I mean, as soon as we start heading to Mars, there's like a 9 minute like radio wave delay between the Earth and Mars, meaning that you're never going to be able to have a real time conversation with anybody else. You know,
Mm,
you're never going to be able to speak like we are doing now to your family.
mm,
Um, and so it's going to be so isolating. And I'm not sure that human beings are kind of built to survive that kind of
mm,
isolation. So I think whether there's anything like we're suggesting in the series going on, that's a real the human factor is a huge part of what space travel is going to look like over the next 100
mm.
years.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I noticed that I don't know if it's true, but I noticed that whenever we are on the lake, on the frozen lake, there are like four very dark corners. I feel like the screen, it's like the lens is shuttering in a way, like you're closing your eyes. I don't know if this is something, maybe I'm reading too much into this as well, but I was wondering if the lake is maybe like an integral state where all the dimension or whatever's going on are meeting, like a liminal space, you know?
Yes, it is.
Good. Thank you.
Answer, to answer your question directly, yes, it is. But that's kind of, there's the way that I thought of it, and the way that I thought of the kind of the realities mirroring each other is basically it's basically like two reflections of each other, and there's a cabin here and a cabin there, and they're kind of mirrored in the middle, and they meet at this, they're both on their separate sides of the same
Yeah.
lake, but
Yeah.
there's a meeting point in the middle on the lake, and that results in this extra cabin, which is kind of dark reflection of both.
Um, the two, I also have a theory, maybe it's too much again, but the two men at the institute at the end of the final episode, well, she sees two twins, and then there's one twin. And
Yes.
I'm like, they call her mummy, and don't tell me she is pregnant with these two guys and something happened with time travel and, you know, something
God,
like
that
that.
that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Can
Uh,
you hire me?
yeah. That's not what I thought, but maybe that's quite interesting. We'll see.
You know,
Um,
yeah, at this point of the show, I was just like overthinking every single detail.
but I've got plans for those guys. Uh,
Okay.
we're not done with him.
Okay, good to know. So season two, I'm assuming, has that conversation already happened?
Well, it's happening in my head. Um, you know, I've got ideas. We'll just have to see.
Okay.
We'll have to see whether there's a series two. I hope there will be.
Well, it's definitely happening in my head as well.
Cool.
Yeah, no. Congratulations. I've got so many questions and actual question that I should have asked, but I'm lacking of time and I give you way too many theories.
Oh,
So,
go on. Ask your last question. Come on. It's your turn.
oh, thank you so much. I was just wondering, how do you know where to cut the episodes in a way that will answer some question and ask even more question for the next episode and just make people want to go back next week and watch this? Because I feel like writing a show of this density there must be moments where you're like, no, this is impossible. Like this episode needs to be like an hour and a half, or maybe we need 10 episodes, you know?
Yeah, it is like that. I can't. I don't know. I don't know. Um, I try and make each episode a little bit different, a little bit kind of its own story and its own genre in a way. And but I always do try and end on a good cliffhanger where you're kind of thinking, oh right, now I don't know what's happening, or now some kind of extra twist or reveal. Um, but I don't know. I kind of tinker around with those quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for answering this final question and to these theories. I had so many, like with the Schoenberg cat. Everybody's talking about that on the internet, and they say that it's definitely what's happening with this show. So, and
Well,
then
there's a
Ponte.
there's a big Reddit forum which I discovered over the weekend. There's a huge kind of Reddit group which obsessed with all of the details and things. So, you know,
Yeah.
check that out if you haven't already done that.
I have, I have. I went down the rabbit hole to quote Irina. I went down the rabbit hole, and there are so many YouTube videos and people who just like dissect every single episode every time they come out. So you did something there. You really did. You
Thank
broke
you.
the internet.
Great.
Congratulations.
Good, good job.
Thank
I
you.
feel vindicated.
Thank you.
Lovely to meet you, and
It was lovely to meet you, and congratulations, really.
thank you so much. See you again, I hope.